Welcome everybody, and today we are going to be introducing you to the first in a series of sales nugget videos that we're going to be producing. And it's quite opportunistic at the moment to have this particular video because we have winter coming, and winter is typically a very quiet time for the Suzuki Marine dealers. And so today we're going to be talking about the all-important sales funnel. And I'm delighted to introduce you to Fani Skolts, who is actually a bit of an expert when it comes to generating leads and filling that sales funnel. So welcome, Fani.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for having me.
All right, so there's a few important topics that we're going to be covering with respect to the sales funnel, and I've got a few questions for you, Fani. So the first is, I suppose, let's understand what the sales funnel is.
Okay, so Peter, the sales funnel is ultimately just, lining up people that we want to sell to. So the more people that we talk to, the more people that knows about us, that knows what we do and how we do it, the more sales we'll eventually get out of it. So creating the awareness so that we attract the potential customer, then taking them through the journey to eventually sell to them, but then not just only sell to them, remembering that we want to sell to them again. So we must have a pre-purchase follow-up process as well so that they go into the top of the sales funnel again.
And I suppose it's also the disciplines and the steps and the next events that occur when we're getting customers into the sales funnel. In fact, Tanya shared a Suzuki Marine sales funnel spreadsheet with us. So we don't have to have complex CRM systems. We can literally run these off a spreadsheet.
Correct.
And you're going to see the spreadsheet coming up on the screen now. So it's really a simple process of capturing the customer details. That's quite important. We forget to take customer details down.
Often.
Then obviously, where did the lead come from? We've got to measure that. It's very, very important to measure the effectiveness of the leads that we're generating. And very, very importantly, as you can see in the following columns, the number of follow-ups that we're making with those customers. What commitments are we making with those follow-ups, and what events are we setting up with those customers? And then also to highlight for ourselves what stage we're at with the customer so that we know what to prompt with the customer the next time we communicate with him. So having a look at what stage we're at. Is it just a price check from the customer? Did we send them a quote? Is the deal pending? Is it in process? All those kind of things. And then if there's no purchase, it's always very important to measure the lost sales and why we had those lost sales.
Absolutely. I love this tool that the guys have been given here, because ultimately for us to understand our marketing efforts and our communication, because obviously the first thing that we need to do is we need to create some sort of activity around our product. So using platforms like social media, Facebook and all the like, to create the awareness. But then it's great to have a marketing strategy and a plan and all of that stuff. But if we don't measure, we don't know.
Exactly. And then we start making assumptions.
Absolutely. So this tool here gives us everything that we would need. We need to understand where the customer came from, where was the lead generated, how many leads did we generate. We need to look at the quantity of the leads. We need to look at the quality of the leads. So this tool will absolutely sort out all of those problems. And the most important thing for us to understand when it comes to marketing is to understand where the leads are coming from. Where's the action, so that we can take our money and spend more on that action that we need.
It's a very important point that you raised there. We use the term attribution. I think Facebook gets a lot of bad rap in terms of producing perceived poor quality leads.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at and if you survey your customers when you're speaking to them, what you'll find is a lot of those customers perhaps saw an advert on Facebook, but they didn't necessarily submit their details on Facebook. They left Facebook, went onto Google, looked up the website, or clicked on a link that took them to a microsite, perhaps. And so Facebook was actually very, very successful in its attribution. In other words, creating an interest from a customer who then went and submitted a lead somewhere else. So I think Facebook in that regard deserves a second look, and the measurement will come out precisely in that tool.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Fani, we've been successful now in generating interest from our customers, and they've started to submit leads. What is the best practice in terms of following up with these customers?
It's an interesting question, Pete, because I think traditionally we've been taught that we need to get into contact with this customer quickly, as soon as possible, And I think the mistake that a lot of dealerships and sales executives make is they think that phoning the customer is the best and the correct way of contacting this customer. We must be able to differentiate between the way that we treat our internet customers and the way that we treat our showroom customers. They are completely different, and we need to treat them.
They have different
differently.
motives. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a customer that's contacting us almost anonymously on the internet doesn't want us to necessarily phone them and talk to them about it.
Not initially.
Not initially.
We've got to contact them quickly, though.
Correct.
Right.
So yes, speed is very important. We need to contact this customer quickly. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Something that worked very well for me to contact an internet lead was creating a cell phone video of myself, an introduction video, and saying, "Hey, how's it, Peter? It's Fonny here from X, Y, and Z dealership. I just received your lead, and I'd like to talk to you about it. I'm going to give you a call in 5 minutes' time." And send that video to the customer via WhatsApp.
100%.
You know, getting that initial contact is a great way of breaking the ice, differentiating yourself from your competition, and it is an electronic form of communication. The customer will very quickly tell you, "Listen, please phone me in an hour's time because I'm actually busy right now." But the first initial contact is then already made, and the ice has already been broken.
And in fact, there's compelling evidence to show that by sending somebody something electronic first, whether it's in the form of an email or a WhatsApp video, actually gets you tacit permission psychologically to then phone the customer. So you can phone the customer within the next 5 minutes.
Yes.
But it's not your first port of call. I know it's controversial, but I mean,
but there's bigger picture. There's a bigger picture. The customers don't recognize the number that you're phoning from. So 8 out of 10 customers will necessarily not answer the phone because they don't know the number that's phoning, etc., etc. And then using HTML scripted emails. I think you guys did that in your training. You showed the guys the HTML scripted email.
Yeah.
Sending a customer that's contacted us sort of via electronic format, sending them that type of communication. So that's best practice for the internet lead. And then obviously the customers that come into the showroom also that might have been generated from the online content that we created. But when they walk into the dealership, they want to build the relationship, nurture them, do all that sort of.
This is where it gets personal. Hey? Yes. This is now the customer's no longer anonymous. Now they want that interaction. They want that personal engagement. They especially want you to listen. I think the mistake that we all make is we get very excited when the customer comes in on the showroom.
Correct.
And we don't necessarily listen to what their needs and wants are. And we can often talk ourselves out of a deal because we're not talking to the customer about what their actual needs are.
Correct. Ultimately, both of those customers, the walk-in customer, the internet lead, the phone-in, all of that stuff needs to be tracked on that lead monitoring funnel system that we have.
And they need post-visit communication. Correct. Absolutely critical. We don't want to be one-hit wonders, and we don't want to give an opportunity for a competitor to be supplying that post-communication that we haven't, and they steal that customer away from us.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so Fonny, we've spoken about the best practices to follow up with customers, but that still doesn't tell us how effective we were in following up the customers. So I wanted to now talk about the metrics behind our follow-ups. What are our lead metrics? What are some of the important metrics that we should be measuring to see how effective we are?
I often use golf as an example. Professional sportsmen measure everything, and golf is a great example of becoming very, very technical. The guys measure everything. Why do they do that? They do that because if they measure, they can identify areas that need attention and fix it. And unfortunately, we don't like measuring our activities in,
because it shows us up a little bit
in our sales environment. So I think one of the things that's most important for me, Peter, is that we need to measure everything. Unfortunately, if you want to take your job seriously, if you want to become next level, if you want to take things to the next level, we need to measure everything.
So let's hone in on what are those things that we need to measure. And I think the easiest way really is just to look at the actual sales process.
Absolutely. So sales process, what we would need to measure is total number of contacts. So how many opportunities did we have to sell something, right? Then we need to see, okay, how many of the contacts are we converting into, for example, appointments? How many are we converting into quotes and OTPs and finance applications and etc.
And test drives. How many test drives have we performed? All these good things.
So we need to measure everything. If we measure everything in the sales funnel, and I love the fact that lost sales was included on that sales funnel, because we need to understand why people didn't buy. Because if we identify these things, then we'll be able to say, hey, listen, there's a trend here. This reason is coming up a lot. Yep. So maybe then we can do something about it.
I think the other important thing is that when we're measuring each step in the sales process, we can start to identify inefficiencies in the sales process, because certain steps are going to have bigger drop-offs versus other steps. And I think another important thing is that we can measure the total number of leads received versus the total sales that we've done. And what's nice with that is we can actually reverse engineer those figures. So now we know exactly what activities we've got to do at each step to achieve a certain number of sales. It's a very, very powerful technique.
Absolutely. And I think probably the last sort of note that I would like to make here is that, especially if we're talking on internet leads, conversion rates, how long does it take, response time, all that sort of stuff is very, very important to track.
That is a key point, Fani. I think one of the things that we miss out on is the reality that customers expect almost an instantaneous response. Now, we've said that response should not necessarily be in the form of a phone call, but the response has got to be there. It's got to be while the customer has a mouse in their hand, we've got to have responded back to that lead. All right, so Fani, we want to take it to the next level now. So we've spoken about creating the sales funnel. We've spoken about the best practices in terms of follow-up with customers. We've looked at the lead metrics and the efficiency of our sales process. I think a very important subject that a lot of people neglect to look at is actually scoring the customer and what is their potential in terms of their intent to purchase from you. Because what we want to avoid with this section over here is that we hopefully have encouraged everybody to invest in developing a lot of leads, but a lot of leads means that we're going to have varying quality of leads that come through, and we don't want to have reluctance to following up on those leads if the sales staff think that they're always getting poor leads. So how are we going to prioritize our leads?
So it's actually very simple, Peter. That's why it's called a sales funnel. Not all of these people are at the bottom of the sales funnel ready to purchase.
Fair enough.
So we've actually got 3 levels to a sales funnel. We've got suspects right at the top, then we've got prospects, and then we've got leads. And unfortunately, we only like working with leads because it leads to sales.
Because they're the hot customers, they're ready to purchase. So how do we determine that?
Unfortunately, we need to look at our prospects and we need to look at our suspects as well. So scoring our customers, we need to understand where the customer is in his buying cycle. And again, using the tools that we have available to us, understanding, asking the right questions, your needs analysis. Your needs analysis will play a huge part into determining where the customer is in the sales process. But why do we want to do that? We want to score our customers so that we know where they are, so that we can treat them and, prioritize our efforts. So that we spend the time on the guys that are hot, but also not forget about the rest of the people in the sales funnel.
No, correct. And I think that's an important part as well. Just because a customer is not ready to purchase today doesn't mean that they're never going to be ready.
Correct.
It just means that they're in a different position in the sales funnel. I think we can start measuring customers in terms of a proper qualification process. And this is something we did go through on the training as well. And I think it's really important to reinforce a proper qualification. And the more information that the customer is giving you, the more you can allocate scores to them. Whatever your qualification process is, whatever that customer's intending to do, whether they're coming in to repower their boat, or whether they're buying accessories, or whether they're doing upgrades, or whether they're purchasing a whole new boat and power unit. Okay, so Fani, we've gone through some really critical points, I believe, right from understanding the sales funnel, all the steps in the sales funnel, the measurement of our success in terms of generating leads in the sales funnel, our closing rates, all those good things, looking at the activities that we're required to do. But I think all of those are moot unless we actually do something and get going And I think the best way to do that is to encourage the dealers to have a bit of a call to action.
Yeah. So, like they say, we can take the horse to the water, but we can't make it drink, right? So that's basically where we are now. So I would encourage the dealers to like seriously bump up the activity, create awareness, and then we need to understand the effectiveness of our activity. So that's the tracking and the measuring and all that sort of stuff. But now going into this winter season, you and I just had a quick sort of brainstorming session, and we spoke about a couple of ideas that the dealerships can implement on social media and in the dealerships, etc., etc. And the first one that we sort of came up with was virtual showroom tours. You know, if they don't come to you, why don't we go to them?
100%. And I mean, there you can have a lot of fun. And you can even, your call to action on that would be to send out invitations to your customers and invite them to book into a session where you take them on a virtual tour.
Show them what you guys have, show them what you do, etc. Okay, what about winter maintenance campaigns?
Yeah, this is very important. Look, I think the guys in all fairness are good at this, you know, so... but what they don't necessarily know that they can do is you can also host online workshops. You can host online frequently asked question sessions for your customers. And again, the call to action would then be to invite the customers to physically take up your opportunities to come in and bring your boats in for services that are required.
Okay, so creating exclusive winter offers, something that's obviously going to be unique.
Yeah, and it doesn't only have to be on the motors themselves. I mean, there's a whole lot of things. Again, you can offer specials on services. You can offer specials on product itself. So there's a whole lot of things that you can come up with. Introduce some special maintenance packages. I think the guys know that winter time is the time where most customers will do all their maintenance. So you might as well offer the special maintenance products.
Another idea that we sort of discussed was test drive scheduling. So, you know, we live in South Africa. Winter doesn't necessarily mean horrible weather the whole time. So why don't we, you know, keep an eye on the weather and arrange test drive scheduling?
And, you know, on this, the importance of test drives, we've gone through, and we went through it on the training. And one of the things that we made mention of during the training was that you can offer an additional bonus to the customer, or an incentive to the customer, that if they've done a test drive, there's something else on the table for them. And you can make it an exclusive offer once again during winter. Come in for a test drive, and then if you purchase our product, there's something else for you on the table.
Absolutely. Okay, and then another one is hosting Q&A sessions. You've already alluded to this, but talking to the customers about their issues and helping them, you know, being there for them and adding value to their lives.
100%. And these are actually becoming more and more popular. So it's something that the guys should really, I think, take seriously, research a little bit how to do it. You'd be surprised how many customers take you up on it.
Yeah. A little bit of fun. Why don't we do a winter-themed photo contest, for example?
Love that. Yeah. I love that. Okay.
So the customers on their boats and
there must be an incentive for the customers. I think the call to action would be, you know, submit your photos, your winter-themed photos of you and your boat and your Suzuki product, and maybe offer some prizes for customers to potentially win as well.
We want that engagement. That's the biggest thing here. We want to create the engagement.
Yep.
So that's probably one of the best ways to get engagement going on your social media. Okay, last idea that we spoke about was just, it's not a new idea, but customer testimonials and stories. So let the customers share their stories. They like to talk about themselves, by the way.
No, for sure, 100%. And you know, I think the important part with that is that one of the factors that influences people to say yes is that they look at the actions of what other people have done. And so if you've got a lot of customer testimonials, hopefully they're all positive. They're going to look at those other people saying, well, okay, they did it, they're happy with it. There must be something good about this particular store, and I'm going to do the same.
Awesome.
All right, so that's it. I wish we could spend a lot more time, but obviously we realize that your time is also precious. So hopefully some of the nuggets that we've discussed with you during this little video will be of use for you guys. And we really encourage you to take to heart what we've said. And I think you might be surprised at some of the results that you get.